we are going to hear from Evansville Vanderburgh School Corporation in Indiana. And they were the Design Challenge recipient for exposure and opportunity for advanced coursework in middle school. So they are coming to the stage now. Thank you so much for joining us. If you don't mind, we're going to have you introduce yourselves.
I'm Frances Dumas Hines. I am Director of Performance Management at Evansville Vanderburgh School Corporation. And
hey, I'm Jackie Barnett. I work with the ESL program and also district data for the Evansville Vanderburgh School Corporation.
So they will be giving us a brief description of their project first. That'll take about 2 minutes. And then they will let us know what are the areas that they really want to hear from you about, that they feel that there could be benefit. We'll then again give you time at your tables to talk about what you've heard, what you might have to offer, and oh, I see it, I'm sorry, we'll give you time for questions. And then we'll have you talk at your table for what you might share. All right, so without further ado, Frances.
all right, thank you very much. Okay, so I'll start off with our problem statement from which we built our initiative. So EVSC, Evansville Vanderburgh School Corporation, does not have enough students from underrepresented groups who are ready to take advanced coursework in high school. So primarily we have some things set up for students in high school, but we were getting a lot of feedback about, well, if we want to put a more diverse population of students in those classes, in AP classes, college credit courses, etc., why are we waiting so late? Why are we waiting till they're like sophomores, juniors, seniors? We should have some things that we have in place earlier. So this initiative, two main aspects of this initiative are to identify and target potential students for honors courses by incorporating a selection tool into the current identification process. So that means basically we're identifying 5th graders who are ready to move into honors courses in 6th grade and then subsequently 7th and 8th grade. And then additionally, we're going to offer summer training for teachers of honors courses to help them in developing a growth mindset. So even their mentality of like who's supposed to be in these classes, that we're increasing the number of classes to include students who they feel might not really be ready. You know, how do we change their mindset and give them more of a growth mentality to think about how to grow these students. So the overall challenge is what we're considering communication pushback regarding, number one, staff attitudes. Principals are willing to explore new ways to look at finding more students for honors courses, but there's not a consistent message to the teachers about the possible course of action for this to happen. So there's communication that's not happening necessarily between principals and teachers who are supposed to be teaching these courses. Second, with regard to student selection, staff are more inclined to use more traditional methods of choosing students. Additionally, some feel that they already have students that should not be in honors classes, and now we are looking to add more. And then the third is in regard to course offerings. Majority of the middle schools do not have paths in place to allow for more advanced course offerings in math, like other middle schools. So some middle schools have these pathways of course offerings, but not all of them, and resistance due to that. So any input that you could provide,
And you can, that was really my bell from the first part, so you're good. I turned it off, he wasn't supposed to be out loud, sorry.
yeah, if we could get,
So why don't we do some clarifying questions, we'll put a little extra time in there. We'll start with,
Two, how many middle schools do you have in your district, and how many high schools do they feed into?
they feed into 5 main high schools, and we have like 7, well, with the K-8s.
We don't have clear models, but we have about 6 traditional middle schools. Our district's around 22,000.
And the honors kids, sorry, not the honors kids, kids who are taking honors courses that you have, are they evenly distributed right now? Like, are they coming, like, same amount roughly coming from each middle school and going to each high school, or like, is it disproportionately?
Disproportionately more like kids who are taking honors classes that go to,
A certain high school or
Yes.
from a certain, okay.
very much so. Yes, please.
What is the current student selection process? Is it by grades or is it,
It's primarily teacher recommendation, and it's pretty subjective, and it's usually if the student, their most recent NWA or informal assessment, so maybe like from this past winter, and if they are highly or gifted. And even with those criteria, they could be using even more academic information that they weren't, which we discovered in this process, as well as like not looking at any demographic information at all, or even some ideas of like our students wanting to take courses. You know, if they're not looking like the solid student to go into this coursework, are they exercising any sort of grit or desire or persistence, ideas of resilience that would be able to maybe you be able to work with that student along the way. So none of that was really considered before.
We'll go here and then we'll go there.
And so you said it was teacher recommendation. Was there universality as to what inspired teachers to recommend a student?
No.
So what would be, can you offer some of the things that caused a teacher to recommend students?
Sometimes it was just a gut feeling, like, you know, that teacher had taught a class, and so there are a handful of students, and they kind of knew those would be the kids that go in there. And then sometimes, again, they would look at the NWA score, and if they were already in high ability or gifted program. But it was really, you know, I have these 5th grade teachers, and give me your list.
I think we're here and then.
Is there any teacher in the middle school or maybe a principal that would be willing to like pilot a very, what I mean, might consider like an aggressive approach, like maybe everyone in the class doing this work?
Pilot what now, sorry?
Where like every student in the class, regardless of recommendation, would do something like this and maybe use that as a proof point?
So what's the question? And I'm sorry, that's not our, just to keep the program.
Yeah, is that something that someone would be willing to do?
Yes, based on one school that's like an early adopter, if you want to call it that, who has really opened the doors based on desire by students.
Yeah, and so it's disproportionately that way in the sense that we had a survey that we've never did before that looked at basically grit or desire to take a honors class, and not every, only the pilots, a couple of the pilot schools agreed to even let their students take the survey. So, but I see what you're saying, like if there was one school who did it and it looked like, wow, look at this school, then we gained some traction perhaps.
And we have time for one more question.
And what are your current numbers and what do you hope to see as an increase?
Yes.
So I can't speak to current numbers, but we would like to have our honors students more representative of overall demographics in our district, and right now it's very disproportional. We have more white paid students that are taking honors coursework, much more higher than what it should be. We're more a half grade reduced lunch population. That's not really represented at all in our honors numbers.
So we're shooting for that different distribution.
Yes, percentages that more align to our current free and reduced population and race and ethnicity.
And that's clear to all stakeholders what the numbers are? What you're looking, I mean, I'm just asking
Yes.
because you had mentioned that,
Yes.
I mean, the teachers were resistant, thought they had too many students, but have they seen the numbers to understand kind of what the?
I see what you're saying. Have we shown them?
Yeah, no, we have not.
No, we haven't.
Can we give a round of applause for